I'm going to discuss exactly how I set up every website, whether it's a client or personal site, and we're going to go into step-by-step detail of how it's done. And the other reason why this is really great for you is because I'm doing this on my personal domain, raydelvecchio.com, and this is, I'd imagine this is a scenario that a lot of you guys either have encountered or might encounter right after watching this video, where you want to go out there and create your own personal website, either a blog where you want to write or a portfolio website, or maybe you just want to learn WordPress and web design and you do it through your personal site. So whatever the case may be, what we're going to discuss in this first video is going through that process of registering the domain. We're going to look at the reseller web hosting that we use, and we're also going to look at the hosting settings. Say if you want to create an email account, like my name at mydomain.com, or if you just want to do a forwarder where you forward that email address to, say, your Gmail account or your Yahoo account. In addition to that, I'm also going to talk about a great password saving tool that I use that saves me time and also keeps your sites and your client sites secure. So you're going to want to stick around for that. Let's start with the first step here. I want to go, I just clicked on something there. Let's go back to the GoDaddy homepage. I want to show you the first scenario where if you type in a domain and it's taken. I just want to show you, what that looks like. So we're going to type in a very generic domain, websites.com, which I'd imagine has been registered already. And yeah, we'll see right here. Sorry, websites.com is not available. So what they do is they give you different options based on what you typed in. And they also have these weird extensions available now, like .io, .city, .farm, .tax, .coffee. I've never even heard of these, but it seems like they have all these crazy ones available. I like sticking to .com. It's the most well known, and if you really can't get a .com, then go with .net or .org. Or if you really want to be fancy, you can go with one of these crazy ones. But like I said, I stick with .com. So now that we did that, we're going to type in a more specific domain that is available. We'll do websites for really smart people.com. And as expected, this domain is available. So what we do is we just hit the continue to cart button, and what you'll notice is that instead of going directly to the cart, GoDaddy's going to try and upsell you with everything else that they can offer on top of that domain. And a lot of people are confused. Should I check this box? Should I get this plan? Should I add email? Really, the only one you got to think about is protect your personal information. What this is when you register your domain, your personal info, like your address, phone number, and email address are actually publicly available. Now, people aren't going to be searching for it. It's not anything to really get crazy about, but if you want to protect that, it's an extra $8 to $10 a year. So it might be a no-brainer add-on for you. So let's add that on. As you can see here, they have privacy protection, privacy and business. I think the privacy protection is generally enough. And we'll continue to the cart. And you can see here, we have our total, it's $75. Our term here is 5 years. We can register the domain for as little or as long as we want. We'll just stick with a year to keep it cheap. And as you can see here, you're going to register your domain for probably about 15 to 20 bucks, maybe maximum 25, 30 if you do some of the different levels of the privacy protection. But really, that's all it is. That's all you need with GoDaddy. And one thing I recommend is get your foot in the door with some clients just by registering their domain. Even if they don't necessarily want a website right away, if they're the slightest bit interested in it, see if they're interested in just registering the domain. Say, you need to get this to reserve it to make sure somebody else can't register it. And that way, if say 6 months down the road, they might want to build, they're going to go to you instead of looking around for somebody because you did it for them. So that is, what you want to think about. Just try and get your foot in the door with as many customers with the most minimal service that you can offer, even if it's just registering the domain. So I'm not going to go through the checkout process. I think you're pretty well aware of how that works. But what I will show you is the next step. Oh, I'm sorry. One thing I want to mention as well is when you're doing this process, the checkout process, you can enter a promo code here. What I like to do is just search for GoDaddy promo codes. And the two biggest sites that will give you the best and most codes are this fatwallet.com and retailmenot.com. So if you go to either of these, you'll see different deals that you can use, and all you got to do is just click here to get the coupon code. So you can try a couple different ones and see which ones, after applying them, give you the best total deal right here. So that's what I recommend with GoDaddy. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go into the domain manager to change a setting as the first step to set up the website. So go here, manage my domains, and you can see here's my full list of domains, and I will click on raydelvecchio.com. Now don't get overwhelmed with some of this information if you don't know what it is. The only thing we're looking at on this page right now is the name servers. What the name servers are, see if we click on here. As you can see, the name servers determine where your domain points based on whether you are parking, forwarding, or hosting your domain with us or another registrar. So what we want to do is change our name servers to point to our HostGator Reseller hosting package. When you set up HostGator, they're going to give you your name servers. Generally, it's 2 of them. And that's all you want to change. This domain control is GoDaddy's name server. So we want to add our custom name servers. And I'll just go ahead and copy and paste these from another sheet that I have here. Enter custom name servers. And these are mine. These are my custom name servers when I created my HostGator account. So that's all we do. Now when we update this, we're going to save that information. When we update this, these changes will go into effect. Sometimes it doesn't happen instantaneously, but basically what it means is that when somebody types in raydelvecchio.com from now on, instead of going to GoDaddy's nothing page, these actually point to my HostGator website account. So the next step is to do just that. Go and create our new account on HostGator. The website we want to go to is this is the URL where I log in. It's called WHM, which stands for Web Host Manager. And this is where you control all the different websites that you create on your reseller hosting plan. So I'm going to log in. And the first step that we need to do on this page, this is again something that can overwhelm you because there's so many different options here. You only need to use a couple of them. That's the reality. The only ones that I use ever, I use them over and over again. I don't go through and do different settings. I do the same thing over and over again. So the first thing we want to do on this page is add a package. We go to this packages option, we add a package. What the package does, we're going to do package name. I'm going to call this RayDV. We name the package. All you do with the package is this allots the space, how much space you want to dedicate for your entire plan to this one website. So really, I like to do somewhere around I like to do somewhere around a gigabyte, which is 1,000 megabytes for the disk quota, and the bandwidth I usually do about 10 times that. Now, these numbers aren't critical. You'll get notifications if you are running out of disk quota or if your bandwidth is coming close to your limit. But if you do these to start with, you'll be fine. Everything else we leave as is. I do not touch another thing on this page. I create my package. Click the add button. And as you can see here, we have a success. The next step that we do is we have to create an account. Now that we have the space allotted with this package, we have to actually create an account to do something with that space. So we're going to go here into the account functions, create a new account. Now here you type in the domain where you want to create the account. So we're doing raydelvecchio.com. It'll automatically generate this username based on the domain, and it also gives the option to create a password. So right now I'm going to simply create a new password here, or use this password that the password generator created. I'm just going to put it into Notepad for the time being and say that I have copied this password in a safe place, because I have, and we're going to use it. As you can see, they only generate really, really strong passwords, so we like using really strong passwords. We don't want to use, words or something that only has letters and no numbers, or, we want to do the strongest password possible to protect your site and your client sites. We type in our email, ray.delvecchio@gmail.com, and then we choose the package that we just created. You're going to have your account name, account username underscore, and then the name of the package. I created the package. It was raydv. There we go. I select the raydv package. I'm going to leave this unchecked. I leave all these as is. The only thing I'm going to check here is this DNS settings. Use the name server specified at the domain registrars. And the reason I do that is because that's the settings that we just used. I want to be able to control the hosting, or where the domain is hosted, from GoDaddy, essentially. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And everything else, as I said, we're going to leave as is. And they're going to show you here how much disk space and bandwidth you have available on your entire reseller account. So none of these are going to put me over the edge. So there we go. We're going to create the account. And it's going to go through all these different functions. And at the end, you'll see at the bottom this, if all goes well, which I've never had it not go well. I've never had an error here, so I don't know what happens when it doesn't go well. But account creation complete, account creation okay, done. That's it. Once we're done with that, we've created our account. So they're going to email you the login information, presumably. But what we want to do is, now that we have it created, this creates what's known as a cPanel account. cPanel is your way to manage each particular domain, the hosting for each particular domain. So now we're going to go to raydelvecchio.com/cPanel. That should be available now that we created all the stuff with Web Host Manager. And our username is the one that they generated. This should be emailed to you. I believe it was, let's see here, Ray, D-E-L-V-E. And the reason that it's cut off there is because there's actually a character limit to how long the username could be. And the password that we just copied and pasted, we'll do the same thing right into here and log in. As you can see, login successful. Now here we're going to talk about that really cool tool that I mentioned at the beginning of the video called LastPass. When I log in, you'll see this bar pop up. It says, should LastPass remember this password? I'm just going to click Save Site, and what I do is, for the URL, it has this different URL here. I like to put in, under the name, /cPanel, because that's the actual URL that I'm going to type in my browser, so I want to be able to see this. But what it does is it saves your username and password. That way, the next time you go to the site, I'll show you here. Just exit out of this box. I'm going to log out. And you'll see here now, it automatically puts that information in. And if you have multiple accounts set up, you click here and you select which site you want. So you'll see it gives me the username, Ray, D-E-L-V-E, and it also gives me the name that I typed in when I just saved the site, raydelvecchio.com/cPanel. So now I can always just log in without even knowing that password. So I really recommend you go to LastPass.com, read through, take a look at what they have to offer with their password manager, and get started. I'm pretty sure they have a free option. And if you do their premium, which is only like, I think it's like $10 a year, $15 a year, you can access all your passwords on your mobile phone if you download their app. So this is an amazing time saver and security measure that you can do to protect yourself when it comes to creating different accounts for a lot of different websites. Actually, before we do anything with the cPanel, I'm also going to show you FileZilla. I like to create the new account on FileZilla, so that's ready to go if I ever need to use it. So I go here to the site manager. I put in new site. Host is just going to be the domain, raydelvecchio.com. And we're going to do login type normal. Username Ray, D-E-L-V-E, and the password. And we're going to connect. And as you can see, we successfully connect to our new website over here. And we're good to go. If we want to transfer files now, we can just simply drag and drop and transfer them to our web server. So I'm not going to do anything on here now, but as soon as I set up a site, I like to save all my account information at any point that I'm going to need it, so that it's at my fingertips and I don't need to know those passwords and logins after the fact. So now the next step that we're going to do, we're in the cPanel, which, as I said, is the way you manage each individual website and the hosting for that website. What we're going to do right now is just take a look at the first thing that I do, which is either create an email forwarder or an email account. Now, generally, the email accounts are going to eat into your disk space usage that you set up when you first set up the account. So I really like to stick with forwarders whenever possible. All you do, and really what I do every time I set up a domain, I set it up as Ray at the domain. So this is going to be Ray at raydelvecchio.com. I just simply forward it to my Gmail, ray.delvecchio at gmail.com. Now, then from Gmail, you can actually create some type of filter if you see your emails being addressed to this Ray at raydelvecchio.com, and maybe create a new folder for them, or however you want to organize it. Another cool feature of Gmail, which you may or may not know, you can actually add different endings to your email address. So you could do ray.delvecchio plus my website. You can actually add plus anything. It doesn't matter. If you add this plus, you can add any word after that and use that as another way to filter the incoming email. So that's a cool little tip for you if you didn't know that. So I generally like adding a forwarder, and you'll see after you do that, all emails sent to Ray at raydelvecchio.com will now be copied to ray.delvecchio at gmail.com. So my Gmail account, it'll go there with this as the actual email address that it's going to, so you can filter that. So that really goes through everything to set up your hosting and to really get going from the domain to the hosting.